Many of you have taken speech class during your years here at Wisco, but for freshmen who will take it next year and for sophomores who take it next semester, here comes a spoiler alert. Most good speeches or presentations should begin with a good attention grabber. Many refer to it as the hook, something that grabs the attention of the audience and reels them in to pay attention and not fall asleep. I don't know about many of my colleagues, but when I prepare for chapel, I have to get my hook first. Once I get my hook, the rest is easy. So here I was again, trying to find the right hook. So I was on the Google. And I knew the message today was free to live without fear. So I decided to type in the search bar, facing fear. And after browsing a few sites, there it was. The perfect hook. The conversation between a father and a son. What better thing to share than with the student body today? So here it is. Our story begins on the plains of Africa with a young Cape buffalo. The Cape buffalo's name was Walter, and his father didn't have a name, but we'll call him Bob. Walter approached Bob and asked him if there was anything that he should be afraid of. Bob said, "Only lions, my son." "Oh, yes, I heard about lions. If I ever see one, I'll turn and run as fast as I can," said Walter. "No, that's the worst thing you could do," Bob said. "Why?" "They're scary and they're going to try to kill me." Bob smiled and said, "Walter, if you run away, the lions will chase and catch you. And when they do, they will jump on your unprotected back and they'll bring you down." "So what should I do?" asked Walter. "If you ever see a lion, stand ground to show him you're not afraid. If he doesn't move away, show him your sharp horns and stomp the ground with your hooves. And if that doesn't work, move slowly towards him. If that doesn't work, charge him and hit him with everything you got." "That's crazy. I'd be too scared to do that. What if he attacks me back?" said the startled young Walter. "Look around, Walter. What do you see?" Walter looked around, and he saw the rest of his herd. There were 200 massive beasts, all armed with sharp horns and huge shoulders. Bob said, "If you're ever afraid, know that we are here. If you panic and run away from your fears, we can't save you. But if you charge towards them, we'll be right behind you." Walter smiled and nodded his head and breathed deeply and said, "You know, Dad, I think I get it." You see, we all have lions in our world. What are yours? Is it exams in the next month or two? Is it a project that's looming? Is it going to that party on the weekend where you know there'll be alcohol and drugs? 1 Peter 5, verse 8 says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." You know, if you've ever seen lions hunt, they don't go after the strongest, they go after the weak. And that's what the devil is doing for you each and every day. They're going after the weak. There are aspects of your life that will scare you and make you want to run. And if we do, they'll chase us down and take our lives. Our thoughts will become dominated by our fears, and our actions will become timid and cautious, not allowing us to reach our full potential. We need to face these fears head on with the support system around us. Our text for today should be a familiar one to you. Psalm 46 is filled with little gems that can help us face our fears during troubled times. We heard it last week during our special Reformation service. a cappella choir also shared a beautiful version of our text during one of their selections. The psalm is broken into 3 stanzas, and I would briefly like to look at each section separately. Please help me read the first section. Please read the words in bold. God is our refuge and our strength. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way, and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. Though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. In these first three verses of the psalm, we see how God protects us. Verse 1 tells us that he's always available. He's an ever-present help in need. God's protection is dependable. Whether if the world is destroyed, if the mountains crumble, if the oceans roar, if the mountains quake, God is with us through it all. Please help me read the next section. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God. The holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her, she will not fall. God will help her in every day. Nations are in uproar, kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice, the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. In these verses, we see a little glimpse of paradise. We hear the psalmist describe perfect tranquility of the city of God. Its river brings joy. It is God's home, and it is eternal. Please join me in the last stanzas. Come and see what the Lord has done. The desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. He says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Did you hear it? Did you hear about the power of God? Verses 6 through 8 shows us that he will bring destruction of the world. Verse 9, someday he will end all the wars through the earth. And one of my favorite verses in the Bible, verse 10, we are to be silent and honor the Lord Almighty. Did you notice during our readings the words that were so important that the psalmist put them in twice? Verse 7 and 11 say, the Lord Almighty is with us, the God of Jacob is our fortress. During our Reformation service last week, we sang what is probably the most famous hymn written by Martin Luther, A Mighty Fortress. Luther based this hymn on the words from our text today. Don't you see that we are free to live without fear because we have a life built within this fortress? We are always safe and secure within the walls of this fortress. A future built on this mighty fortress is always certain. Let us hold on to this freedom from fear by strengthening our faith through the constant use of the Word. If we trust that this fortress will protect us, no lion or fear will ever be able to destroy us.